So by far the easiest way to be financially successful or financially free is just not to make more money, but to lower your expenses and not have any debt. So, if you start buying stuff like fancy stuff just because you can afford it, or stuff you can't even afford, then you're definitely not going to be financially free. Or you're going to be like the opposite for many, many years, especially if you're in debt. Debt is just really, really crippling. It really just kills your freedom. Like, it's very tempting to get to buy stuff with credit or with loans, especially cars. People, you want like a fun car, you want a cool car. It makes most people, you feel really, really good when you have it. As guys, we like to have like fast sports cars. They're just so much fun to drive. But buying something like that on payments, just because you can afford the monthly payments, is so fucking stupid. Like, doing stuff like that will completely just ruin your life. It'll make you a slave to basically just the corporate America. Like, the US is one of the wealthiest countries, but I'm pretty sure we have the most debt of like any, probably the number one in having the most debt of any other country. And we tend to spoil ourselves so much, and a lot of it is by using debt with stuff that buying stuff we can't really afford, getting locked into these monthly payments. And a lot of it is just buying, luxury stuff that we don't really need. A lot of times we think we need certain things, but really, like, you look at people living in like poorer countries, or just people that have less money than you, most of it you don't really need. Most of it you can live without, and it's smarter to wait until you're making way more money than you need and live far below your means until you start to buy more stuff like that. It's kind of like if you're an entrepreneur, you want to, it's like with the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you want to be able to have your assets paying for all your bills and stuff for you, and paying for stuff like luxury items for you before you go buying them. And that's kind of the way that you would get financially free. But yeah, the easiest way is just to have really low expenses and be debt free. Like, the best way to start as an entrepreneur would be when you're very young, or if you're living at your parents' house, or have some sort of free rent. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you're building a business, or you're looking to invest somehow, you basically, all the money you make, you want to be able to invest it back into the business. And if you have to use the business to also pay for your living expenses and stuff, then it really, really stunts the growth of your business. It can make businesses fail, and it can lead to a very, very stressful lifestyle and a stressful time too. Whereas, like, any young person trying to be an entrepreneur, my recommendation is to start when they're still living in their parents' place. Or, like, I had a video on how I got free rent. Figure out some way to get free rent like that. Or the next best way is just to don't go to college, just start out by getting some sort of full-time job. Kind of, if I could rewind my life, I think I would go back and maybe just not go to college and start out as like something like a nurse or a firefighter. You do things like that in a big city. They pay really, really well. If you're like a single person and you can have roommates and stuff, jobs like that pay super, super well. So if you have a job like that, you could save at least half your income. If you're single and you're good with your money, you could probably save more if you're really, really careful and really lower your expenses. And then when you do that, you just start saving it all. You start learning a skill on how to invest your money and how to build your own business while you're making that extra income. And then if you start saving up a lot of it too, you could start to take more time off work if you can, or you could just eventually just have enough money saved up. You could quit and just try to do your own business full time because you have all the money saved up, and you can. But that's pretty much it. Like, the number one way, just lower your expenses. Do not get into debt. Don't buy junk that you don't need. Don't buy crap. Most people, at least in the US, they're just a slave to the crap that they own. They have something with monthly payments, you have to work to make those monthly payments. You can't stop working. You know, say if you get a car that for $100,000, well, you could have bought a car for $20,000 that would serve you just as well, and then you'd be saving, like say you're buying a monthly payment, you'd be saving like $1,500 a month or something. You could work less, or you could save that money, invest it into your retirement, invest it into a business, create assets, or you know, you could just take a lot of time off of work. Like to me, I'd rather be able to have more free time off of work than having some fancy thing that I don't need. But I don't know, that's just me.